A pleasant evening, panelists, parents, and teachers. A warm welcome to today's discussion topic, Culture of Success for Sports and Life. The 7th series under Craftwell School Knowledge Hub is to reinstate the importance and value of sport and physical education in a student's life. Sport is all about respecting the rules and also providing everyone with an equal chance of taking part. It incorporates the concepts of friendship, fair play, fairness, and respectful sporting behavior. Craftwell School is a purely inclusive, vibrant school here at Kaidaram, Kochi. Craftwell School follows Cambridge curriculum, the school with a difference, with a team that strongly believes in going beyond the classroom, works with children to inspire them to become self-reliant learners, nurture their talents and equip them with the skills and values that will empower them to become self-confident and well-rounded individuals. Craftwell School believes in giving equal importance to the conservation of biodiversity, natural organic farming, and community welfare programs along with academics. A team of like-minded education enthusiasts who strongly advocate that learning becomes more enjoyable with a genuine love for education, parent participation, and creativity. With exposure to state-of-the-art learning technologies and under the able guidance of experienced educators, our young learners are empowered to make responsible decisions when they break out of the cocoon and walk into the real world. Craftwell School provides every child access to a happy and welcoming community focused on learning in a stimulating and rich environment. At Craftwell School, learning goes beyond just academics. We inspire children to explore the world around them and push them to reach their full potential, then focusing on conventional teaching methods. We promise that every child who becomes a part of Craftwell community will walk out as lifelong learner, having enjoyed an enriching and happy childhood and a quest for lifelong learning. GRASPORT is a sports management company working with a strong ideology to make organized sports and physical education accessible to children from the very young age. GRASPORT collaborates with schools to provide sports and physical education services to children with an internationally recognized UK curriculum. And are the pioneers of providing sports and physical education through a user-friendly app, thereby integrating sports and physical fitness with technology. GRASPORT focuses on nurturing talent by providing 360-degree or an all-rounded services in sports, such as sports and physical education, grassroots development, sports infrastructure, sports events, and sports tourism. I'm Bindu Menon, PR and training consultant of Craftwell School, and it's my pleasure to be the moderator of the session. We have with us a panelist from Team GRASPORT, Mr. SUHAS Pudota, founder GRASPORT International. Mr. SUHAS will be joining with us any moment. Mr. PIYUSH Rai, head grassroots and curriculum design, GRASPORT International. We have with us a parent panel, Mr. Sandeep K. Nair, father of Gauri from KG2, who's into business, into school sports equipment supply. Mr. Karthik, father of Aryan Karthik from grade 1, who's into business, who runs a yoga and martial arts academy. Ms. Anju Manikutan, mother of Shiv Tirth from grade 1. Ms. Anju is a physical education teacher. We also have Team Craftwell School with us, Advocate C.A. Majid, Managing Trustee, Craftwell Foundation, and Ms. Mridula Praveen, Principal, Craftwell School. Just a quick look at the agenda. We will start the session with a welcome speech, followed by an overview on the webinar topic, then to a talk on importance of sports in students' life by Ms. Mridula Praveen, then to the speaker slot, followed by questions from the parent panel, audience questions to the panel, felicitation address by Advocate C.A. Majid, and then to panelist feedback time, followed by word of thanks and session wrap-up. Now may I invite Ms. Midila Janarthanan, teacher at Craftwell School, to deliver the welcome address, please. Ms. Midila.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Greeting to the dignitaries, guests, parents, and my dear colleagues. On behalf of Craftwell School, it's my privilege and honor to welcome each and every one of you to our 7th webinar session, Craftwell School Knowledge Hub, Culture of Success for Sports and Life. Next, we have with us our eminent panelist, Mr. SUHAS Pudota, who is the founder and CEO of Sports and Education, GRASPORT International, and Mr. PIYUSH Rai, who is the head curriculum designer at Sports Education, GRASPORT International. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, and I welcome you both with pride and pleasure to enlighten us with your wise words. Next, I would like to welcome our beloved parent fraternity, well-wishers, and my colleagues to this empowering and encouraging session. Thank you for accepting our invitation. We really appreciate your cooperation and unreserved love for this institution, sparing your time despite your busy schedules this day. Now, I gladly welcome our visionary managing trustee, Advocate CA Majid sir, and our vibrant principal, Miss Mridula Praveen ma'am, to the enlightening session. This is a testimony to the commitment you shared for the welfare and education of our children. Therefore, it is my earnest prayer that whatever deliberations we embark on today will be constructive and fruitful and will go a long way towards improving upon the already very high standards that we have set for ourselves. And last but not the least, I would like to officially welcome Ms. Bindu Menon, ma'am, uh, our PR and consultant, to moderate today's session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for your presence. I hope and I wish all of you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithila. Over to the topic. Craftful Knowledge Series webinars are a great way for the education fraternity and students to stay up to date with the latest developments and to interact with subject matter experts. In this webinar, Culture of Success for Sports and Life, we will take you through invaluable information on the topic at a time when the students are least active in the world and fitness levels are plummeting. Novak Djokovic recently claimed playing school sport enabled him to create friendship he might otherwise not have formed. School sports provide children with some of their best school memories, as well as offering numerous health and emotional benefits. Young people generally are often portrayed as being full of ambitions and hopes for the world and therefore important drivers of cultural change. The United Nations described this expectation on young people as shapers of the culture of the future. As they grow through adolescence, young people develop their identity and become autonomous individuals. Young people do not share the elders' experiences and memories. They develop their own way of perceiving, appreciating, classifying, distinguishing issues and the codes, symbols, and languages in which they express. Young people's responses to the changing world and the unique ways of explaining and communicating their experience can help transform the cultures and ready their societies to meet new challenges. Sport is a universal element in all culture. Statistics show that 61% of young people aged between 15 and 24 participate regularly in sporting activities. Sport provides young people with opportunities for social interaction through which they can develop their knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary for their full participation in civil society. Culture and sport are both human rights and related to various other human rights. Not just the pandemic, but the advancement of the digital world have together not put sport in the right spot. But educational institutions need to see this concern seriously and work towards it to bring positive outcomes. They need to play a very crucial role to encourage the importance of sports in school. It develops students' internal skills for developing pressure. They'll be dedicated to finding creative ways to improve when to take risk or not. In a country like India, sports are even considered as a means of livelihood and career options for those who have immense dedication towards this field and have great potential to achieve success. We believe these learnings about the benefits of sport shouldn't just be aimed at children, but also parents and teachers who are key to educating their children and improving access to healthy food and daily sports. Let's hear more from the experts today. Now, may I invite Ms. Mridula Praveen, Principal, Craftwell School, to speak on the topic, Importance of Sports in a Student's Life. Over to Ms. Mridula, please.
Thank you so much, Vinny ma'am, and good evening, Mr. Piyush, respected parents and my dear colleagues, and dear Majid sir. Thank you so much for joining us. So the very idea of making the topic of today's webinar is itself, I guess, our school highlighting the focus of importance of sports in education. So as you all know, we have a very famous proverb about sports, like all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. That ever famous proverb always highlights the importance of play and sports. So we live in these times where sports are not seen just as a hobby, but a way to achieve a healthy body and mind, making them an essential part of education. So a child needs to engage in sports as it offers the so-called holistic development that the whole education sector always, highlight about, and positive personality traits. So during the formative years of children, the focus should be on the overall development of a child. So sports, education, and health share an elemental link, and together they contribute significantly to the holistic development of a child. So a school or a college is a place that helps children and students discover their interests, their inclination and strengths. Thus, it becomes very vital to choose a school that offers good sports infrastructure and encourages students to engage in sports. So through sports, a school actually inculcates qualities such as leadership, dispute management, team building, healthy competition, and discipline in students. While many subjects at school are taught primarily in the classroom or indoors, sports and physical education can provide a great opportunity for all children to head outside, to be under the sun, to get active and focus on developing different kind of life skills. The sportsmanship spirit helps a student deal more gracefully with the ups and downs of life. So he or she will lead his or her life with good morals and positive attitude, and is thus less likely to be a victim of social evils. So students who compete in sports get better grades usually. They have more confidence and they graduate at higher rates. And majority of them even avoid the evils haunting the adolescents, such as drugs, unplanned pregnancies, obesity, suicide, and even mental illness like depression. So for those engaged in sports, sports are the epitomes of diligence, hard work, and dedication. And personally speaking, actually, I was once a state level Kho player myself. And also then again, after that, being married to a hardcore sports person. So from my own experience, I would definitely agree that sports and games should be given utmost importance to develop smart and fit citizens of tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mridula. Over to the speaker slot. As Mr. Suhas has been able to join with us?
Not yet. Yeah, I didn't get
Not yet, right. Right, okay. Now, may I invite Mr. PIYUSH Rai, Head Grassroots and Curriculum Design, GRASPORT International, to speak on the topic, Culture of Success for Sport and Life. Mr. PIYUSH is an alumni of Symbiosis School of Sports Sciences, a mechanical engineer with an MBA in sports management. PIYUSH, in his role as a head of Grassroots of GRASPORT International, shares his vision of the organization in empowering the youth with access for sports and physical education, and in turn, seeing India at the top level of the playing field in the future, one step at a time. Over to Mr. PIYUSH Rai, please. Mr. PIYUSH.
First of all, Majid sir, Mridula ma'am, once again, thank you for this opportunity. And it seems to me it's like yesterday when we first started our online sports and physical education program at Craft World School. And it's been an honor to work in the field of sports, because speaking from experience, I myself have been an athlete. I have represented the Rajasthan in states swimming championships, and represented my school, represented my college and my universities. And talking about the topic of today, culture of success for sports and life, it was a very peculiar topic, and it made me thinking. When we talk about culture, we look into the history. When we talk about success, we look forward to the future. Now, how do we combine both of them together? There's a very simple word, but it plays a very major impact in our life. What does sports do? The word is discipline. There are n number of sports in the world today, be it indoor sports, be it outdoor sports, be it extreme sports, be it aquatic sports. So what does each and every sport have in common? What it entails is discipline. Now, the importance of sports has very recently been recognized again. Now, when I say this again, is because when we look into our own culture, when we look our own history, let's just consider not very far back. Let's go to Mahabharata and Ramayana time. There was archery, there was swimming, there was javelin, there was wrestling, and variety of other sports that are mentioned in those manuscripts. Talking about Greek mythology, we remember the great Hercules. We remember a few gladiators. They're still talked about today. So sports has played a huge role in the evolution of humanity itself. And when we talk about today's generation, with respect to what's been going on in the past, from the past 2 years since the COVID hit, the pandemic that hit us, students have gone into their homes. They are not actually, talking to students. So how do we move in the current times? How do we make sports and how do we make it successful? How do we make students successful out of it? So we have to understand what does sports teach us first? What do we learn from sports? I personally believe that sports does not look at age. I mean, one can start at any point of their life. Because being a student of sports sciences, I have learned one thing, that irrespective of what age group we are, our muscles will always function at its best, irrespective of what age it is. 5 kgs will be 5 kgs for an individual age 16, and it will be 5 kgs for an individual aged 60. So there is no discrimination in that. And when we talk about students in this scenario, in the current scenario, in this webinar, what I would like to suggest is playing sports is very important for an individual because he's growing up. When we talk about students, students, they learn from everywhere. They learn what they see. They learn from what they do. And sports being the most practical and the most natural activity that one can do in their spare time, it gives us a lot of time to even, reflect. So what we are trying to do is, may I show a presentation if I can?
Sure.
Yeah. So we at GRASPORT, what we are trying to do is provide a structured curriculum where we teach students in a very, very specific manner. Please, if you look at the screen, give me a second, please. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yep.
The current one, yeah. So what we are trying to do is we have created a roadmap. Now, what we are trying to do from the very young age, we try to incorporate physical literacy into students. How we do that? When we talk about students, what is the most important part? Where do we start? How do we begin? How do we take it forward? What GRASPORT we have done is we have allocated students and bifurcated them in a variety of age group. Which was, of course, incorporated in our online sessions as well, 4 to 7 years, 8 to 12 years, 13 plus years. Now, what we are trying to do why we're trying to do that is at a very young age, the students need to understand about what they are capable of. So when we talk about the students at the age group of, let's say, 4 to 7 years old, we just make them do physical mobility exercises where they learn about themselves. We take care of their performance analysis. We try to identify what sort of talents they have. Are they endurance-based students? They can go for football, they can go for basketball. Are they, students who are short burst energy? They get tired very easily, but the time they're playing, they're doing well. So then we allocate them sport, identifying their talent. So this is a very small term. When it goes on, 5,000 hour rule is our part of our long-term athlete development program that we have incorporated. We introduce them to sports. These are the sports, that you will be good at. So these are all scientifically proven, analytic based results. And then we allocate the talent. Till what level can we make him play? What is his caliber? How far can he go? We take him to tournaments. And in turn, we are able to start a professional beginning. Now, how do we incorporate this into a normal student's life? This is not easy. Students, they wake up in the morning, let's say 6 o'clock, they come to the school. They have their academics. Students, they get pressurized very easily. So how do we modulate that? That is a big challenge. So talking about training groups, we make sure that now what I'm talking right now is purely, if I must, it is purely competitive based. So this is what we do for students who are interested into sports. We train them into the groups. We select targeted tournaments for them. Once they're participating, they get all sort of support, which can be, performance analysis, which is individual, team. They get support of nutrition, psychology, physiotherapy. And then the performance is consistently well. They are showing signs of success. They have been monitored in a very, closed manner. Then we promote them for, COEs, Center of Excellencies. So these are the steps that we are taking. And coming back to the topic, how do we make them successful? So like I mentioned before, to talk about discipline. Now, when a student plays a sport, he learns about it. He learns teamwork, be it individual sport, be it a team game. How does he learn teamwork in individual sport? He learns to, work with his trainers. He learns to work with his players. For example, let's take swimming. Me, myself, being a swimmer, I've understood that there has to be a level of communication. So there's a cultural sharing of culture that goes around. In that culture, how it comes is sports brings a lot of people together. When we watch cricket match, everybody is united. When we play a cricket match, a team is united, or be it any other team game. So, and when we talk about discipline, what happens is there is a schedule. What has to be done? When has to be done? What time does the training start? You have to be punctual. What all do you have to learn in training? What do you have to eat? So when we talk about, there is a lot of things that come into play. Having said all of this, discipline is not only in terms of sports, it's in terms of education as well. It is a way of life. And when we focus on long-term athlete development program, what we actually keep an eye on is when we start training the students, we make sure that we give them an active start. When we talk about physical literacy from young age, we teach them fundamentals. We have to teach them how to train. For example, how do I have to go into my warm-up? How do I have to, keep an eye? Is it my off season? Is it my on season? What is my diet? How is my diet allowing me to train? Then comes the stage of training to train. For example, is he planning for a competition or not? If he's planning for a competition, is he training to compete for the first 3 levels, that is gold, silver, and bronze? And then the most focused training, that is training to win. Now, what does this long-term athlete development program incorporates in a student is, even though if he's not a winner, because not everyone is a winner. Success does not choose an individual just like that. Success chooses an individual who has given his, blood and sweat into the sport, who has given his time, who's given his dedication. And that competition for life is incorporated in that manner. And then if there is a success out of it, if a student is successful, he would be fit for life and active for life. So if I see learning does not stop. Learning is continuous. Learning is a continuous process. My parents, when they saw me competing, when they saw my level of fitness, they got into sports. They had come around 85 kgs. Now they have maintained their weight to 74, 75. And my mother still, we walk every day morning. I mean, yeah. So success, we cannot quantify success, but yes, we can say that if you have set an objectives, if you have set goals and you're working towards it, you achieve it, that what is success. And culture of success only comes when there is a support given to it, if there's recognition given to it. So I hope I may have been gone off topic a few times, but I hope and I would like someone to keep adding to the points, because there has been a quote that ma'am gave. So we used to say that in Hindi: padhoge, likhoge, banoge nawab, kheloge, kudoge to banoge kharab. But now I think it is time to say the recognition that sports has been getting is padhoge, likhoge, banoge nawab, kheloge, kudoge. So it can be, worked ahead forward. So having said that, I would, I think that sums up, how can we make a culture of success for sports and life. So it is a daily practice. It is a way of life. It is a disciplined way of life. And we can always look into the past. We can always plan our future, set objectives, set goals, and learn from everyone around us, be it a young student, be it an athlete. The goal is to have someone to look forward to. For example, a role model, who can be anyone. it's a matter of making that choice, making that decision of life, and yeah, just working ahead of it.
Thank you, Mr. Piyush, for that insight shared. It was really helpful. Now it's time for questions from parents and other participants to the panelists. Let's start with the parents. Mr. Karthik, father of Aryan Karthik from grade 1. Mr. Karthik, your question to the...
He's joining now. He's joining now. Yeah. He just got...
Okay, so maybe we'll move on to the next question.
Yes.
Yeah, Ms. Anju is here. Ms. Anju Manikutan. Ms. Anju Manikutan, mother of Shivtirth from grade 1. Ms. Anju is a physical education teacher. Your question to the speaker, please. Ms. Anju.
Good evening to all. Sir, this is my question. Sports toughest moment is the freedom to fail. What's take on this?
Pardon?
Sports toughest moment is the freedom to fail. What's your take on this?
Ma'am, that is a very, very good question. And I have gone through this experience. Like being an athlete, it is let's say 1 in a 10th position that somebody wins. There is somebody who will of course lose. Just one person wins out of a whole championship. So I will say that sports teaches us humility. One should have humility once he wins a sport, and the other should have a grace to accept defeat. And I think it's the beauty of sports that teaches a sportsman to never, turn the way over a loss. One should, I mean, sports actually teaches everyone to learn from their experiences. If you win today, you may lose tomorrow, but lose it with dignity. I think when you talk about what is misled is key people participate, they lose their heart. I mean, what else is sports about? I mean, how can you give up sports when you lose something? I mean, I'm speaking this on my own personal experiences and what my take actually is. So I'd say, if you're winning, be humble. If you're losing, please be graceful, because the amount of hard work that you have done, the amount of level, and I'm saying that talking about gold medalist and a silver medalist, even though if it's not the first, but yes, being part of a sport, being part of that culture, I think, yeah, that is the toughest moment, and one should be graceful. And that is what sport will definitely teach one, because when you're into it as a team, as an individual, you have always support. I hope that satisfies your that answer satisfies your question.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Mr. Karthik is joined now, right? Mr. Karthik, father of Aryan Karthik from grade 1. Your question to the speaker, please. Mr. Karthik. You'll have to unmute. Mr. Karthik, you'll have to. You're not audible.
Please unmute.
I'm okay, unmuted. Okay. Sorry for joining late. Actually, I am a sports person and I have been between a training right now. So, excuse me for that.
We can see the background.
Yeah, I'm actually in the auditorium.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so I had to I have to attend this meeting. Okay, I'll come back again. So in between I saw heard sir saying as in the losing factor. I was about to ask the same thing. I didn't go for the previous explanation and all. My question is this: most of the kids right now are having the fear of losing. Can you hear me?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
You're audible.
Yeah. So most of the students, anybody, be it students or anybody, aged person also, like everybody is fearing about losing. I'm not just saying sports or we can connect it to anything. Okay. So what is your explanation on that? Like, how can these kids get away from that fear of losing?
I think, sir, first of all, I'm glad that you're participating in a sporting activity and I appreciate that. And your question, sir, is very, very simple. There's one answer I would like to give. the process of accepting a loss has to also be incorporated in a training itself. One should not participate in a sport to win the sport, but to win over their goals and objectives. For example, I'm a swimmer. I actually am a swimmer. So I do not know that you were there in the past or not. So what we used to train is, do not look at the result, what has come, whether you're first, second, third, fourth, or even you're dead last. Day one training, you set a time, 100 meters, 1 minute, 4 seconds, no problem. The target has to be put in place that in the competition, you have to clock 1 minute dead, 1 minute 000. So did I meet that? Did I go over that expectation? That has to be incorporated in a student's life. Be it a game of badminton, right? Because there's always someone who is working even harder. There's someone who's not working harder. We do not understand that, but we have to understand that we have to prepare ourselves that either we win or lose. Did we fulfill our goal? Did we fulfill our objectives? So these are the incorporated training modules that has to be put in place for students to understand that it is not about winning, but it is more about participating and checking those, the goals that we put in place for ourselves. So please unmute. You have gone mute again. So please unmute.
So the concept is, see, I basically train kids of martial arts. I'm a karate instructor.
G.
You can hear me, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so what you said is very true. So I just wanted to know, like, the other parents also get to know about this thing. That's why I put on this question forward. Like, I swim, I do martial arts, I do badminton, what you have said. So what, according to me, is like this, the target you are set, are you achieved that level? Winning or losing is not matter yet. So in which age is this training has to start from this? I'm saying like a small kid won't accept all these things, right? My grown-up might accept it. So in which way the parents has to input this thing inside the house so that the kids get to know this thing frequently?
So I say the right age for students to start training for competition, I believe, has to be around 12 to 14 years based on his physical attributes to be, because it's very subjective. It varies from student to student. And because genetics does play a role into it. So on an average, if I have to go over balancing of a probability, I'd say 13 to 14 years, we can introduce sports to students where they can, we can put them into a proper training. And when the student is educated, I think it is a duty of professionals to also educate the parents. Key, this is what we have started. There has to be a proper, a student's profile, a player's profile.
Yeah.
That yes, these are the goals that we are setting. Let's see whether the student achieves or not. It is not about the podium. It is about the goals that we set, like we discussed right now. So the parents would also be in the know. What happens is, because parents are result oriented. Now this is the part where academic plays the role into sports. Academic and sports is in the same universe, but they're really different. What happens with sports is there's one winner, but in academics, everybody can score 100%. In sports, it's not like that. People can be nearby. Even if you look at Formula 1, all 20 cars, they finish within 2 seconds, but there are 20 places in those 2 seconds. So these are the small things has to be, given to the parents that yes, your student has actually won based on the goals and objectives. Yeah, the result is not like that. Just like MS Dhoni said, just like MS Dhoni once said, the team performed well, we just did not win in one of their T20 matches. So I hope.
I heard that interview. So I heard that interview.
G.
I was there at this thing. Okay. And to my introducing myself, I've been teaching martial arts for almost 28 years now. And almost like 50 students of mine has become a black belt, and they have started their own classes and stuff. Now, since COVID, everything has gone down, but slowly we are building up. Actually, we are having a sessions there. So if you excuse me, can I, if you don't mind,
please.
Can I leave?
I appreciate that. Thank you for your question. Thank you very much.
Okay. And the guidance which you gave was really good. I hope all parents get this point. Now, I've been doing this every day, and then every parents ask me like what can I do. So I just wanted to get your side of the knowledge from based on that.
No problem. So happy to help anytime. Appreciate your
Thank you, sir. Glad to talk to
you. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank
to
you,
you.
Mr. Karthik, for joining us today.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Sandeep K. Nair, father of Gauri from KG2. So Sandeep, your question to the speaker, please.
Hello. Yes,
You're
sir.
audible.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Very good evening.
Sir, my question is, as parents, in what all ways can we get involved in nurturing the culture of sports in our children? And what is the difference between games and sport?
Very good question, sir. I think let's say every student has a notorious part to himself. What they do at home, what they do outside, what they do in school. And a parent is always aware of what the student is doing. So I think when it comes to sports, I believe the most important part for parents is to be supportive, to understand that what the student, because students, they play sports for a lot of reason. I mean, students, even though they're very young, they're immature, they have a very high level of emotional, or let's say emotional sensitivity. They choose sports either for the love of it, they choose sport either to get away from something. So I think the first point is that parents must understand what motivates my child, right? Is it happiness? Is it the friend circle? Is it something to divert his mind away from? Because children, we have experience. I have my young brothers, sisters who do a lot of things based on their emotions. That is the first point. Second point is be supportive. What does the student, and I mean, the point of this is he set goals for them, right? Ki theek hai, you're playing sport, okay. Next week, I want to see you do this. Take part, play with them. So this is one of the initiative we took. We introduced parents versus children in our program, where the parents and children, they do any sort of activity together. I'm not aware of how many parents have experienced this with us, but what we did, that this started a point of conversation with the parents and grandparents, the generation gap that we're trying to build. Because when the conversation happens, the idea clicks. And when the idea clicks, it is incorporated into real life. Okay, let's do this, let's do that. So the whole habit comes into formation in that point. Now, I hope first part is covered, I believe. Supporting the students, understanding what motivates them to pursue this, the set sport, be it any sport. It can be archery, it can be football, basketball, swimming, any sport. And I think parents do play a very important role in that. And second part of your question, I believe it is, what is the difference between games and sports?
Yeah.
Now, that was very tricky for me to, actually, it is very tricky for me to say, but yeah, I think I can reduce the game is a combination of physical and mental activity, but sports is games in a set rules and regulations and in set activities. Yes. For example, there is a game in football. How do we play it? The tactics.
Yes.
There is a different game in basketball, the different approach. So if I have to say, it is a mixture of mental and physical activity, game, but sport, exactly the same thing, but with different set of activities and rules put in together. Does that make it clear? Because it may get a little tricky, games and sports.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. If I have to paint a picture, let's say this is a circle of a game, right? Okay. This is the sports game.
Okay.
And sports.
Sports, yeah. Oh, good.
Game can be anything. People can, take a basketball, shoot to a hoop. But when does that become a sport? When you set rules, when you set an objective.
Yes.
When you put in a team together.
Yeah.
So I hope I satisfy that point.
Yes, sir. Of course. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other query with respect to that?
I have a question. Why is it called Olympic Games then?
Why is it called an Olympic Games?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is Olympic game. It is a Greek term. What happens? I think there are a lot of stories that has come into play. It all started in Rome. there were a bunch of gladiators who used to come into play, to showcase, no, I am better, no, I am better. It was little not polished. People talk about it differently. But Olympics, I believe,
No, I'm
came.
asking, why isn't called as Olympic sports and not, why is it called Olympic
Okay.
Games and not Olympic sports? Yeah.
Okay, that point. Okay.
Connecting with, yeah, right, yeah.
See, when we put Olympic sports, what happens is there is I think Olympic Games is because there's a lot of sports that's coming into play.
Okay, it's a collective.
Collective that has become more collective around, let's say, a mediocre term for calling a whole mega event. We call Olympic sport what sport? Because a sport has to be dedicated to something, but Olympic Games can be dedicated to a lot of things. And there are hundreds of sports in Olympics. So that's why Olympic Games.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sandeep, for these questions. And now it's time for questions from audience. A couple of questions. And we're already at 7:48. So I'm just thinking, just let's see how it goes. And then first question is that why is inclusiveness in sports so important? Why is it?
Why is sports?
Inclusiveness in sports so important?
Well, I believe to inclusiveness sports will, of course, it has to be. Inclusiveness of sports has to be in the curriculum, because a student in a day studies about, let's say, 6 to 7 subjects. So that is just mental activity. But to boost the mental awareness, to boost physical requirement of a growing and developing child, sports has to be included to simulate an overall growth, to simulate a personality, to simulate a critical thinking. Because when sports bring together, it does not bring an individual together, it brings a lot of students together. So there are a lot of ideas clashing. Now, what happens with those ideas? It gives them the option and opportunity to find a way to make best possible decisions. A winning strategy comes out when ideas clash. When that happens, personality develops. For example, I come from a different position, a different place. X individual comes from a different place. Y comes from a different place. And when I say place, I mean a different background, a different ideology altogether. What approach do they take together? They are able to analyze, they are able to understand, they are able to infuse, let's say, an idea ki yes, this can be done, this has to be done. This will, help us achieve our goal. Another point that can be, when different people come together, it, binds a culture together, it brings people together. It also helps with psychological, physiological standpoint as well. Out of all the students in a group, leaders emerge. Let me tell you, leaders are not born, leaders are made. And how are they made? They are made on taking decisions. And who can overview it? Parents, teachers, trainers, educators, coaches, us individuals, role models. So inclusiveness of sports has to be delivered. Because if a student does not play, what's the point? I mean, we are born in this world, we are born for 3 to 4 things. One is to understand how the world works. Second, to take care of our own physical needs. Third is nutrition. And when all of these things are combined together, education, physical fitness, and what has to be eaten right, so that all leads to a very healthy and a life that is very, very, very fruitful. So I hope inclusiveness of sports, I was able to throw some light on that, why it has to be there.
Yeah, my next question is that what should one look for in a great coach?
I think a great coach should motivate, should provide a direction, should be able to solve problems, first of all, and in turn mold a student where he's able to understand that, yes, this is right for me. And I'm talking in the point key, if a student is going to a coach,
Right.
Sir, this is my sport. I want to work well. I want to be this. Now, when I talk about directions, about giving goals and objectives, like we discussed earlier, motivating and, you know, giving him a direction, sorry, motivating him provides an idea that yes, there will be failures, there will be injuries. You have to bounce back. You have to be mentally strong, because sports, I think, is a 360 involvement. You know, you're psychologically also playing with other players. The body language, your preparation, the confidence, the discipline. So I think a coach has to give an overall view. A coach has to have experience in the past. Yes, how do I deal with students? How do I deal with failures? How do I deal with injuries? A coach has to have that understanding. So when we hire coaches, when we hire educators in that matter, what we do is we seek, yes, what are the worst situations that you have seen? After an injury, student, they go psychosomatic. They are absolutely healed, but they feel, no, I'm not well. A coach has to target those areas, show him, no, you're well. So I think these are the major attributes that one should see. First, he should give directions. Second, he should solve problems. Third, he should set achievable goals and objectives to build their confidence and achieve those targets for the student.
Right. I have a question, which is somewhat personal. I don't think it's personal. I don't know. You said that you are, you've been a swimmer for quite some time, and then you have won accolades in your, school and college life and things like that. So, at which point of time did you actually understand that you've got this in you, in the sense, like, that you're good at this, or how did you get to know, and how do parents get to know? As you know, as a sports person, what is your advice to the parents, and how do they actually identify that in their children?
It was my resilience, if I have to say. No, I want to swim. So I used to fight at home. Ki swimming jana hai, let's go swimming. Why are we not going swimming? So let's say it has to come from within. And my coach used to beat the hell out of me, if I'm being honest. If I win, I'll get very arrogant. What you'll do? I'm the winner. I'm the champion here. So he'll smack me one or two. He'll be like, no, this is not right. You're the winner. People will look at you. Second of all, when I used to lose tournaments, I used to be disheartened. So the care that goes into it, okay, you're the winner. I'll keep you on track. Okay, you lost, no problem. Let's get on track. So you see, the derailing and the railing back. Derailing in the sense I was arrogant at one point. Second of all, after the tournament, we always used to sit, we always used to have a conversation. What happened? How did it go? What happened? What could have been done better? Even though I have won a gold, I am a swimming champion of the school. To be honest, I was a school champion for consecutive 4 years. So in my head, there was no one better than me. But my coach said, let me take you to the outside world. The moment I went district, I was not even third. So even though I'm a king of my swimming pool, outside world is a different story itself. It's an ocean. In a swimming pool and in an ocean. Let's not even say, let's talk about aquariums, the big fishes, but in the ocean, there are bigger fishes. So those is realization. You can never stop at one point and be like, yes, I have won, I have done it. No. Look at Olympics. Every 4 years, records are being broken. There are younger and younger, athletes are getting younger. Why? Because there is recognition, there is support. There is a medium where, there is infrastructure, the most important part. We haven't discussed about infrastructure so far in this conversation. How can we make athletes? How can we make winners? How can we make champions if we do not have infrastructure? So that's a different topic altogether. It's a different webinar in itself. But when we talk about when do you realize it, you realize it, you feel the glory. There are 10, 15 people, they recognize you. It hits you actually. I am the champion.
And my question is like, there are a lot of things out there. And then how did you pick up swimming as your passion? That's what, how do parents know that? Yeah.
It hits you. For talking, parents will know when they talk with the students. For example, I believe a parent has to be proactive. The parents have to take students to experience whatever is there in the society. My parents, I come from a sporting background. My family, they were all into sports. I mean, all my family members are engineers, doctors, lawyers, but they had an inclination towards sports. So I was introduced to sports. I was lucky in that matter. And then I chose sport because I was able to relate to swimming. I was a big fan of dolphins. I was a big fan of sharks, whales. You know, how they swam. Can I do that? And then my coach saw this talent in me, and then yeah. So I think it's a 360 approach. Parents, trainers, availability of infrastructure, and yes, there was one question also: how do parents understand? How do parents get involved? I mean, they have to
Right.
listen to the children. They
The
have to listen.
commitment. Yeah, right. Yeah. There was a question which you missed out in. What kind of time commitment should a sportsman or a sportswoman have? How to balance it with academics, or rather, how parents can, help their children in doing this? Because most of the parents, as right from, which movie was it? Three Idiots, right? So the passion is always taking a back seat. So how do parents actually help their children follow their passion?
I think in this matter, I think the whole family has to get disciplined. Again, the word discipline comes in again. Why?
Yeah.
Because if you're training for competitive sports, you have to dedicate time. We have 12 hours in a day, out of which said number of is going into school, said is going for tuition, said is for rest, said time is given for our daily routines. So waking up early, 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, training for 1.5 hours, a routine has to be set, and that routine will come into play with respect to a student's life, because it is subjective. Some schools they start at 8 o'clock, some schools they start at 7 o'clock, some schools they start at 9 o'clock. So whosoever he's training under, they have to understand what all time I can dedicate, and then that disciplined way of life comes into play. This is the right kind of food I have to eat. This time I have to sleep. This time I have to train, and then this is the dedicated time I have to study, because I believe 4 hours of studies, and I mean, no, not 4 hours, 2 to 3 hours minimum, 3 hours minimum has to be given to students to sit down with a pen, paper, study, and minimum of 2 hours, 2.5 hours has to be given for a student to train. And I'm saying not continuously. He can train 45 minutes in the morning, 1 hour in the morning, 1.5 hours in the evening. That will be more than enough. And I'm saying this for competitive, but if you're doing for leisure, 45 minutes or to 1 hour is more than enough.
Okay.
That has to be incorporated in a lifestyle, and the discipline has to come in. You have to be motivated for that. Yes.
Right. I have a last question. What makes a great sports person?
Sports do teach us grace. They teach us how to be accepting. That is a win or a loss. And I think it is a combination of sportsmanship and passion. That actually makes you a good sports person, if I'm correct. Because a sportsman has to understand what it feels to lose. A sportsman has to understand what it feels to win. Because if somebody wins and there's nobody to clap for him, doesn't make sense. If somebody loses, there's nobody to put a hand on his shoulder and say, no problem, we'll do it next time. It comes from a winner, it comes from a loser. So I think a sportsman has to look forward to to others. I think that is, I mean, looking towards others, looking for others, looking for your competitors, your teammates. That makes a good sports person or an athlete. You have to be understanding. You have to have a humanity side to it.
Thank you. Now, may I invite Advocate C.A. Majid, Managing Trustee, GRASPORT Foundation, for the felicitation address, please. Sir.
A very
good evening. Yes, sir.
That today the 7th series of our webinar conducted by Craftwell School Knowledge Cup, and the subject is very much interesting. That is culture of success for sports and life. I am very happy that Mr. Piyush very elaborately described about the importance of the sports education and what the sports education gives our children and the society. first of all, the main thing that he said is discipline in the life. That is a necessary, at the highest necessary thing in a child's development. Apart from academics, they should be very disciplined. And there also he said that the mental health and other things, the importance of teaching the sports at the earliest stage also is very important. He described it very nicely, and we are all very happy to hear all these things. And our school, as all of you are very much aware about that, our school is a unique one, which is not specifically not for academic issues. We are guiding the students for other extracurricular and sports activities in their curriculum. So we are focusing on that, and our school, the deliberations done by Mr. Piyush, it will help our school children and parents. And thank you, Mr. Piyush, and all the other persons who asked the questions, and the person and the parents present here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time for the panelist feedback. Mr. Piyush, how did you feel about the whole session? How was it? How was the experience?
It was a great experience. I mean, how often do we hear schools taking interest in sports and physical education? Because nowadays there's a competition that no, my school has the best students in terms of academics. My students have topped the overall average is this my school. But no, what we fail to understand, or we have failed to understand in the past. Now I'm talking about different school. Key, apart from academics, students' physical and mental development has also a very important role to play, because the students today, they are the leaders of our country for tomorrow. So we are not only making doctors, engineers, we are also producing leaders for tomorrow. So I think incorporating sports and physical education with academics and other co-curricular activities will definitely mold students to become someone who will take this country forward, because that world outside is very, very challenging. And I believe the ideology that Craft World School is moving with, the direction they're moving in, will definitely achieve these goals, because that's what our goal is. We want our countrymen, students, individuals to represent our country, to excel. So I guess with this ideology, if incorporated with other schools, I think the competition is going to be very, very interesting. So I think this webinar is spot on where it has to be. The topics, the questions, I'm very thankful for the questions asked, because those are very rare questions involving parents, specifically in sports, because it has played a vital role in the past generations, because I see my friends not in good shape, not pursuing, they're very dull. But on the other hand, individuals like one of our one sir who asked a question, he still practices sports. I mean, that's how often do you see that? So it was great. It was really amazing. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
I have a question which I would like to know. What are the health benefits of swimming?
Health benefits. First of all, swimming is the only sports that does not hurt a joint. Even if you're injured, let's say there's a ligament problem, swimming will never affect it. Swimming is one of the best sports. Why? It works on the whole muscular system of the body. Second, the best cardiovascular exercises one can experience. And third, you eat very well. You eat the best food possible, be it fats, be it proteins, be it carbs. You can eat anything and you can maintain a high metabolism. So I believe swimming is the best. Yeah, I still follow swimming. I still swim. I'm still in, touch wood, I'm still in good shape. And I hope to be.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now, may I invite Ms. Jobina Mary, teacher at Craft World School, to deliver the word of thanks, please.
Good evening to all. On behalf of Craft World School team, it's my privilege to propose a word of thanks on this occasion. We are so grateful to our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. PIYUSH RAI, for not only sparing his invaluable time for us, but also for enlightening us with his commendable talk on the topic. Thank you for clearing our concept and enhancing our understanding pertaining to the culture of success for sports and life. I owe special gratitude to our parents for extending your cooperation and making this webinar a resounding success. Next, I thank our management trustee, Advocate C. Majid Sir and Principal Mridula Praveen for their unstinted support and leadership. Special thanks to Ms. Bindu Menon for your excellent job in moderating today's webinar. Last but not least, let me thank our teaching and non-teaching staff for participating in this webinar. Thank you all present here.
Thank you, Jobina. Thank you all for joining us today. It has been a wonderful learning experience. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining.